This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, very good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome back. So yeah, yesterday we were trying to set up the single node cluster, right? I didn't got time to check the issues, but I will take like 10-15 minutes and I will just try to, I just took one server, which I thought is, why don't I check it on the session directly? I'm really sorry, but let's see. So we are taking the
Actually, one thing I just wanted to ask Raghu, like yesterday when we downloaded the mini cube, right? After we had updated that file in the that configuration file for the Terraform, and that we have given a SSH key. Is that the SSH key of the remote server, like which instance we have actually brought it up, or the spot server,
yeah,
like that?
right.
That was the T3 medium there.
Yeah, that is the one.
Okay.
Yeah. One second. Oh, this place. Yeah. All right, I was somewhere. Yeah, I wanted to just check. So how it's if I take my own server. So I think this guy can help me, right? So we're just using this guy code. Yeah, and AWS Minikube is what we're trying to use, but this is the main code. And inside this, we are using one Minikube / AWS. Okay, so just the Minikube. Here's a repos. Say Minikube, yeah, Terraform AWS Minikube. And here he has some scripts. Okay, I'm just want to go and execute this particular scripts and see how it's gonna work. Okay, that's it. So git space clone and sh. So sudo sh init. By the way, what he's trying to do, he didn't throw any output. Okay, so everything he tried to kept in this particular log. And if I look into this log and everything, so he's trying to do something. -ef if I give, I don't see anything much. And okay, let it be. I need to check it out. This guy, what he's doing. We can just launch our own server. I mean, with Terraform, we'll just use that for now. But I thought he's installing some packages and kept some files. It's just so Docker PS is also not working. Then it didn't work. /com/CentOS Terraform scripts. So sh-x init. Okay, so he's expecting a lot of variables, environment variables, and those environment variables should be coming from Terraform. Okay, so directly dumping something is not gonna work. Okay, so he's taking kubeadm, kube token, all these particular things. So he's just kind of taking some information and passing them here. All right, let it be. So we'll just stick with Terraform only. So cd repos cit d 49 and then not d49 k06 and then AWS Minikube. So Terraform apply and do approve. Let me remove the instance manually I created. And by the way, I switched to Oregon region, so I'm using that.
So, I have a doubt here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we can edit this Terraform file to launch the server from Spot instances also, right?
Yeah, we can do that. We just need to do the modification.
Okay. But actually, we are going with the traditional on-demand instance. Okay.
Yeah. I'll try to do it over weekend. I'll try to make some changes to this.
Okay.
And also then practice perspective also we'll just go with directly inside the server. We'll install the so kubectl and K9's utility. kubectl already there by default. We just install K9's utility on the server itself. We'll just play on the server, okay, rather than our local system. I doubt actually Windows it becomes a little complex. So you can just go to this node. It's telling connection refused.
So this connect command, how many times it will re-attempt?
No, this is my command. It's an infinite.
This is not
really a command. It's a shell script.
Oh, okay.
That's it, while true. So timer I mentioned like 10 minutes something, I think. So 10 minutes continuously every 2 seconds it will hit and check the connection. Yeah. All right, I'm inside this node and I would be expecting some files coming up here. So ps-ef, so something already triggered up. Yum install is going on, right? So you just need to wait for just to get it out. So the same script is running, but some parameters are coming to that. So now the kubelet is installing Kubernetes basically. It's just installing. And Docker started running. So it is pulling some Docker images. Yeah, now finally it is initting a command. See, we can do that. I mean, normally what we need to do is we just need to kubeadm init is what the command, single command will be executing on the server. But the only thing he is adding is, so something like, which is going to be really useful, something like that networking part, some add-ons he's adding, okay? So like dashboard and things like that, right? So those are quite important, okay? Also dashboard, we already have some other problem, okay? So SSL issue, that also I didn't check, right? Okay, no problem. So for today, we'll just use command line. I'll get that. Docker, sorry, and ls. I think by this time you got it. Now what I'm going to do is I just create a directory mkdir.cube and a cpe cube config to .cube/config. Okay, so where kubectl always refer this particular command. So kubectl gets space pods and it will just verify that particular command and it tells that there is nothing, and kubectl gets space nodes and it just authenticates with that particular file. So what I have done is this one. Okay, so just do this much. Let me did I not save yesterday? I think I didn't push. I was adding that information in the directly in the repos. Go to the files. So here I was using something. Let me. So from UI you can ignore for now. So run the following command. Wait for the kube config to be created and you can refer this output. So what I have done, so mkdir.cube cube config and then okay. So the next one is the third one is install K9s. Okay, so or else K9s is also okay. So let it keep aside and try to execute kubectl commands for just for time being, so that you can learn the things. Okay, and you can do that. Okay, so here I would like to take this server IP address, and I would like to connect in the same terminal itself, so that I will not be switching screens much. Okay, so kubectl get space parts. Okay, nothing is coming. All right, and the next thing is I need this particular repository. So where you have is Kubernetes kube basics. Just let's clone that. So git is not there. Sudo git clone, and you got it. And then just go for cd cube basics, cube hyphen basics. So cd pods, and so all we started is something like so how do we create a pod? Okay, so we written some YAML file, and that's where we started and created a very simple um, one pod. Okay, so this is what we have done, right? And yeah, so let's go and talk about certain options around the pod. So this is a very bare minimum. And if you look into the structure, okay, so if you just make a comment, so structure or bare structure, if you just go for bare skeleton, and structure for pod is, let me put it in a comment. So one thing you require API version, okay, colon v1, okay, and after that we're gonna require kind is pod, and we're gonna require metadata, and then colon, and just basically name you have to give, okay, so pod name, and then finally you're going to have spec, and then followed with containers. Okay, so this is what the bare spec. Any pod you take it, this is the minimum configuration it expects. Otherwise, without minimum these things, it will not run. Okay, so like the same way, every YAML is going to have minimum keys which you have to keep it, otherwise it will not run. Okay, and the leftover keys, whichever you have not given, it just uses some defaults, or some just uses some empty things. For certain values which you don't give it, okay, it just uses certain defaults, or in certain cases it's empty. Okay, for an example, let me apply this. So kubectl apply -f01.yml. Okay, so you just got that, and the kubectl get space pods. Okay, kubectl spelling wrong. So kubectl get space pods running, and you got this. Okay, so now this pod kubectl, I can go for get space pod. I'm actually asking one pod only. If I hit enter, you get this, but I'm expecting an output format of YAML. Okay, if I just give output format of YAML, so can you give me the YAML of this one? So then you get this. Okay, is that you can see this? I written very 4-5 lines, or so probably some 8 lines I have written. But how many lines your pod output you're getting? You're getting huge many lines. Okay, that means what's happening? So certain values, okay, whenever you don't give, like, so security context is empty. So what all you do, restart policy is always, kind of certain things. Okay, it just kept the use the default value, where you can always override the values, okay, that's how it is going to be. All right, and for the bare one, this is the bare content which you are going to make. And you have written okay, so for one pod, now let's say if I just choose to write it in another pod. Okay, so if you write pod 02, and now let's say I want to go with another container, so the name is going to be actually going to be like, let's say CentOS, and then image is actually going to be CentOS, and colon 7. Okay, is something you have. And CentOS :7 will fail, right? Ultimately it will fail. Why it will fail? Because CentOS 7 doesn't have any command to run. It runs bash. Bash doesn't so B succeeds, it's always goes as a failure. Okay, ls and kubectl apply -f02. So your pod is created. Okay, and kubectl get space pods, and you can see this container is creating. And now you will start looking into some problems or some issues, and we'll solve those particular problems. Now what you're seeing, crash loop backup. So that means what happening, it's only there are two containers in the pod. Only one pod actually, only one container getting active, whereas the other one is so not coming ready. Only one is coming ready. Then in this case, who comes ready? Nginx comes to ready, but CentOS always goes to a failure. Now what I can do is I can just go for override. So I can give some command. So command I would like to give is sleep. So 10,000. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is kubectl delete pod. Okay. So pod 02. Okay, it's deleted. Pull the code, push this, and git space pull, and the kubectl apply -f 02 once again. Now, because there is, since you mentioned a sleep command to run for 10,000 seconds, it will run now. Get space pods, and it will run. Okay, see this? Right? So this is how okay, we are going to do. So now 2 by 2 is running. All right, you can just specify multi-containers. Now, if you have some Docker container, what you can do, you can execute some commands by going inside the container, right? So here also you can go to the container and you can execute the commands. You can go inside a pod and you can execute the commands. Okay. So now how can you do that? You can just go execute by using kubectl and exec. Okay. And -it. Kubectl exec -it. What is the pod name? So pod 02. And which container? The container is CentOS. Okay, so hyphen you have to give. Without hyphen also it works, but still, so the final command you are going to give it is by using hyphen and you give bash. And okay, so that means you just went it. So docker exec changed as kubectl exec, -it the same thing. You give the container ID, so now you're giving pod and the container name. Okay, so that's how you have it. And do ls and yeah, so I'm inside the CentOS. Now I can just do call localhost, and I'm going to get the Nginx web page. I'm actually in which container? My CentOS container. And but so Nginx content would be coming from this container. But what happened really? Okay, so it just looks like I opened that particular port, but I mean I means this container opened the port, but this container never opened the port. Okay, so this container is actually, you just entered into the container, but still end of the day you are on the same pod. You're on the pod level, not on the container level. Okay, so pod will does that. So in the backend, what it does is, so both the containers, what it will try to do is it just try to consume the same namespace. It just uses namespace. Okay, so now let's go to some basics and understand what's really happening. Namespaces in kernel for container. If you just look in this, the namespaces is what the things the container uses in the backend to isolate things. Okay, so we know to really go into look into that and see, but still you have some options and you can do that. Now every container, okay, so what you do, you're going to get like let's say I just come back to my host system. ls do you have ns? LSNS you have. Okay, so these are the namespaces which you have, so which are having so some namespace, right? Now ls/proc/ this one, what it is doing is permission denied. Okay, now what I wanted to show you is so some more things. So it is, let me go to the root user, just give docker ps. Docker, see, end of the day it's container. Let's go for docker ps. Now how many containers you ask for to run? So here you have total 3 containers in the name of pod 02. right? So Docker PS, you will see a lot of containers running. Okay, out of this, now what we're going to run is Docker PS pipe grep for pod02, and ultimately you'll see 3 containers. What is the additional third container? We'll talk about that later. Okay, so we have this concept anyhow in the syllabus. We'll talk about that. What is POS container? But so the other containers which you have is Nginx, which you are using the Nginx image, and the other one which you are using is sleep 10,000. Okay, which is your command. Okay, so now so this actually is going to be this container, right? Now if I just give ps-ef for pipe grep for this one, this is the process ID. Okay, this container is using 22572 process ID. At the same time, I go with this container. Okay, the process ID is going to be this. Okay, so 22506, 22572. Those are 2 different processes. End of the day, one process cannot talk to another process, so that's the security kernel should providing. Okay, so that this process, whatever the processing the data or whatever it is dealing, it will not be accessed by other process. Hence the security. Kernel end of the day, it just maintains so the process and all these things. So now let's say this is dealing, assume this container is dealing with some so some dealing with the username, passwords of kind of thing. So it's have a sensitive information, and this is some application, and it should never go and look into the information back in the core kernel. It should never happen. Kernel always try to isolate the things between one process to another process. You cannot do that. Okay, so I mean, a very simple example is you try to set up a variable in one shell and you try to access it in another shell, it will not work, isn't it? You try to set up a so this one, I mean, I'm here now. Let's say if I go into this machine now and I set up, like, let's say so I mean a is equal to 10, and you don't expect in some other shell, if I just give echo $a, get works, same server, but end of the day the process is different, isn't it? So that's where, okay, these are 2 different processes, right? Now let's go on, like, try to look into the proc. What it is telling is what this guy is telling, this guy ns, and ls this guy /ns, you're having this, and ls this, but I'm still thinking how can I relate. So you're getting this, okay? And okay, let's try to, I don't really remember something, PID of ZSH, sudo PID of ZSH. So the unshare command runs a program in namespace, unshared its parent process, kinds of namespaces. So read the unshare man page. What this guy is actually trying to do, so we can relate somewhere in the system, okay, that both are actually using the same namespace. But how can I relate this? So lsns hey, okay, previously as a normal user I got very minimal process. Now we can see this. Okay, so we can see this lsns, you're having a lot of containers and their namespaces. You can see this. All right, fine. Now we can relate the things. So now you can just go and see you can go and check for grep for so the network namespace, you probably find out in which one. Let me take this data. Let me put it here. So whichever is not needed, we'll delete the things. This pause and all is not needed. Let's delete them. So this API server, anything related cube also is not needed. So you can delete them. So this code DNS related bind IP address, all these things, you delete it. And these also dashboard, metric server things. Yeah, so here I'm more interested on a pause is not needed and a pause is not needed. I'm more interested on Nginx, and Nginx also you have certain things which is so now I need two process. What are the two process I want? So we already did that, right? So what are the two process which I want? And the process of 22506, 22506. It's not actually the process ID. Okay, then some random number then. 1922525. Docker ps. I prefer pod 02. Two two five seven two. Okay, let it be. So you had two process. Okay, that is fine. And what I wanted to now, so I mean, from here also, I will not be able to understand anything. No, I'm just trying to recall. Somewhere we'll go back to the system. We will relate it. Okay. So let me make a note of my side. What need to be done? Let me just make some stick card. Otherwise, I'll forget. So namespace sharing, how it happens. So since they're actually using the same network in the backend, so now what actually this this pod layer, what it does is, it launches two containers, but end of the day it will actually try to put the same network layer in the so by default when you create a container, what it happens is it just tries to use a separate namespace. But since those are two containers, for both the containers it try to put into the same namespace. So that's what it does, as simple as that. Okay, just to see. So probably we can find out any other place where we can find out NS.
Prabhu, just a minute, before that, can you just help us to understand what is namespace?
Okay, so namespace is basically like the name itself is telling, right? It's a it's a kind of a room, you understand. Okay, so something isolation should happen. Okay, now let's say you open Gmail, I open Gmail. End of the day, if they don't maintain some isolation between both of our accounts, then what's going to happen? I will get a chance to read your emails, right? But what they would be doing, so they'll be isolating that and they will call it as multi-tenant namespace kind of thing, or multi-tenant there. And okay, so like the same also in the system. So one process is something and one process is another thing. And end of the day, they have to maintain isolation. Every process is something like a separate isolated area. And so every process is an isolated area. And okay, so and the container to run, okay, so it just uses some technology which is called as namespacing in the backend. So that means how it actually, see, a single process, how it gets its isolation, as simple as that. Okay, it uses a concept, very core concept, which is called as namespace. Okay, so as simple as you just understand as a separate isolated space or a room kind of thing, you will be able to understand. Okay, yeah, this is something on mine. I will take a look on this, but you should be able to relate that. Okay, so since both are using the same thing, okay, so you should be able to Docker the command. Yeah, and Docker network on the Docker layer also we can see -help and Docker network ls. You have only this much, right? So it's not showing here. All right, so I will show you this tomorrow. Okay, so tomorrow or probably on the weekend. So something on the Monday, whatever it is. Next session, I'll try to show you in the backend, so how it is able to do that. Okay, so let's go for kubectl cd/home/CentOS. So cd pods ls. Yeah. So kubectl exec-it pod02. What we have done -c. So which you are going to go for is CentOS and -- bash. Okay, you can execute only as a normal user, right? Yeah, I'm inside the pod, and yeah, as I mentioned, so call localhost. Localhost has to be the CentOS one, but actually it still gives you the Nginx information of the Nginx pod. And even if you go to Nginx also, like let's say if you just give nginx, and there also you go and give call localhost, so still you get the same thing. Okay, still you get the. So this is how. So something in the backend, or something basically the namespace in the backend is just gonna be used as common. So that's how.
Actually, just wanted to ask Raghu, when we check the container, right, under the pods too, we were seeing three container. One was a pos one, the other two was for Nginx and CentOS, right? Like when we check. How about the third one? Is it different from the rest two?
So I'll talk about that, so in bit later. So step by step. So pos containers is there. We'll talk about that. Right. So this is how you launch two containers and they can intercommunicate now. They can intercommunicate. So that's important. Okay. So that's the problem actually, which this pod is actually solving the things. Right. So and the next thing which we are going to have here is we just talked about this one, right? We'll just go step by step. So a single container and how can we execute container? Okay, execute commands. I think pass commands is in the very next place only. Okay, so let's try to talk about this. Now, every time you kill a container, then what's going to happen? Okay, so now let's say I need another session. Let me go here and open another session. I need two terminals. I'll just come back here. So SSH. And in fact, I want another one. And also I'll just install K9s just for graphically seeing the, continuously seeing the things. I'll go with the K9s and I'll just go to the releases. 129 releases is there here, and I'll just choose Linux 64-bit, right? Ours is x86 64, and I'll just choose this copy link address and call this one pytar -xjet. Yeah, so K9s and sudo mbk9s to /bin so that I can execute that as a command. Now K9s, if I just open, it just shows me the pot. Okay, fine. Now you can just go and see, I wanted to go for Docker PS and a pipe for pod 02. Now what's going to happen here is if you just try to remove one container, how can you remove one container? So this one, Docker rm-f, and you remove the container. So now you try to observe what happens here. It's actually showing you container creating. So did you observe or not? It just came back and went away. And Docker PS this one, and again I'll go for I will just go with something, and Docker clears this one, pipe for this, pipe v grep, not p, okay, and pay pipe awk. So print $1 rm-f. So remove it and continues on the down. You will be seeing go for Nginx. So you can see this container creating is coming and going. Okay, so now I want to put it to sleep for 2 seconds. Do it and okay, on the down you can see that okay, it's creating the container. This container is getting created. Okay, so that is what is happening, right? Container is getting created. Okay, so probably 2 seconds is too small. Now you're getting some container. Container creating is happening. Now, what is this? What is this additional container, and what is the purpose of this container? Okay, so let it and let's go for cd repo cd cube. Oops. cdl apply -f. So now I'm just going to kill the container. Now if I kill the container, the pod is actually not losing its information. And what information importantly it is not losing is this one, the IP address. The parse container is used to, okay, so I mean, if I have only a single container, if I lost that container, if I delete the container, the pod also will consider that as a failure and it will get deleted. Okay, it will be get deleted by the orchestration tool. Okay, so but actually to maintain the persistence of the same IP address all the time, okay, so one container should be always alive. Okay, to maintain that particular aliveness, what Kubernetes uses in the backend is plus one more pod, and that pod is called as parse containers. Okay, so parse containers, and again so kubernetes.io. So from here you should be able to identify the documentation about anything you are looking for, right? So here I just clicked on documentation, and then I'll go for parse containers. Parse container basically. So shared process namespace between the containers. Okay, so again, so this is to maintain the sharing of the process between multiple containers, and also just to resolve the IP address to keep it alive. So you just use this particular one. Okay. Okay, so that is the purpose of this particular parse container. But this is again, this is not actually, no, this is not parse container. Parse container, why we didn't got that? Let's search only pause. Bad. So pause container Kubernetes. Okay, that's the same thing which you are getting, by the way. All right, fine. So the pause container is a container which holds the network namespace of the pod. Okay, so yeah, and so as I mentioned, okay, so both the containers should maintain okay, the same namespace, and in order to just maintain that particular one, so what you would be using is you will be using a pause container to reserve that particular namespace, and namespace you're reserving also it puts an IP address to that particular pod, always to maintain that particular IP address until the pod goes down completely, until the pod is getting deleted completely. So the always you want to maintain that particular IP address. Kubernetes uses this particular third container. Okay, now without this, what's going to happen is as simple as that, you know, every time the IP changes. Okay, so that's what it is actually trying to maintain something in the backend. Okay, so that was is a POS container. Okay, so probably this question is, you know, so probably asked by some interviewers usually, what is a POS container? So you can simply say that the POS container is to just to maintain the just to maintain the, you know, network namespace, which is going to share by other containers, which is actually created by the pod, which the user has defined, and also to maintain the IP address. Okay, as simple as that. Right? Yeah. Clear? Any questions on that? Yeah. Okay. And the next one is, okay, so custom commands and arguments. You already seen that something with the example here. Now let's say either you can use sleep command here, something like this, and okay, you can use args also. Now, if you are actually using if you are using entry point, you should be using args. If you are using the CMD in the Docker image, then you should be using command at the point. If you are using entry point, okay, so then what you're going to use is if you're gonna use entry point, then you're going to use is args. And if you're using CMD, to override the CMD, you're going to use command. Okay, to override the command, use command. And to override the arguments which you want to pass it to the entry point, you will be using arguments. The same ping example, you know, so we were discussing, right? So let me just go and give file, a new directory. Hey. So you can just go for from CentOS. Entry point is ping -c3. Okay, you just give google.com or you just give so c330 something. Okay, you just give -c30 or whatever it is. 30 pings you're checking. Okay, which is fine. This is what I have. Okay, now if you want to, okay, so if it is a CMD, how can you, or so probably what you can give is, so CMD, what you can give, you're going to give google.com. So by default, it's going to use google.com to ping, right? You can override that always from here. Now I can just go for cd dot get space pull. Let me make the image and push it. So docker pull, no, docker sudo docker login. Okay, so it's gonna be my username and the password of mine. cd images, cd ping, and docker build -t / ping v1 dot. Okay, a sudo should be there. Normally you cannot execute a sudo. If you want to normally, CentOS user normally want to execute in the Docker command, so then what you have to do is sudo user mod -a-g. So add a group which is Docker group to which user, CentOS user. You add that Docker group doesn't exist first of all. Okay, that's fine. Okay, you have to create a Docker group and you have to restart the Docker service, and then, you know, a lot of work. Otherwise, just use sudo. And okay, which is done. And what I can do is I can push this. And now come here, and I'm going to use a new file, and what I would call is 3. So 03 k06-2020-08-27-SESSION-12. And over here, so what I'm going to do is I'll just take this and I'm going to put this. Now over here, like let's say ping and then ping the colon v1. Okay. Now what is there is some problem. Both use the same name. So I will just use 03. So yeah, you have same name distilling. Space pool. Okay, now you can see this is running. All right. So now kubectl get space pods, and you can go for logs. So kubectl logs -f. Follow the logs of this one. Just try to go with 30 pings, and it will close automatically. Okay. So now you want to override something. So delete pod 03. Let it get deleted. Now I want to override something. So what I am going to go is args I am going to use, and so I'm going to give yahoo.com now. Okay. Let the pod get deleted. Pods, you don't have pod 3 running. kubectl apply -f 03.yml, and the pod got created. Now cubes logs, if I go there and give, now we are actually reaching to yahoo.com. Now what when in case you are going to use args? Okay, so we already used command. Okay, so command is to override cmd. Args is to pass arguments to what? Arguments to entry point. Okay, that's the quite difference actually which you have. Now what we talked about in Docker. Okay, so the entry point cannot be overridden. Okay, when you run Docker, so the entry point cannot be overridden. But here you can actually here you can actually override the entry point also. You can do that. Okay, so now from pods you can override the entry point. Okay, so entry point. So and how do I do that? So probably let me take this and I'll just say, so even though here we are having some ping command, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give something like echo command. So you're just giving echo command. So now what's going to happen is it will override the entry point also. So the command will override the entry point also from the Docker image. Okay, so you can see this. All right, so it's been deleted. Get space pull. Okay, so now kubectl get space pods. It's continuously get restarted now. So kubectl logs of pod 03. So you see this echo is happening, yahoo.com echo is happening. Now, whatever about the statement which I told in the Docker session is little bit need to be corrected, right? So what is the correction? The entry point by default cannot be, overridden on the command line, but there is certain options which you can use, which you can make it override. Okay, so override entry point. Okay, if you want to override entry point, okay, there is an options actually. So here you cannot override entry point command by just by adding a new command line parameters. To override entry point, you need to modify the docker run command with specific syntax. Okay, and that is where this Kubernetes is going to use that. Okay, so now how can you do that is yeah, you can see this hyphen entry point option. You have hyphen entry point. Okay, you have to give hyphen entry point. So it's going to use with this particular option and it's going to keep that. Okay, so since it is actually doing this, okay, so yeah, you can always override entry point. You can always override entry point. Okay, that's where this also gets overridden. Okay, now you have the answer with you. So here it is. Just uncomment this. Okay, whatever it is, it's args and it's command. So command to override a CMD, so override a CMD and entry point also. Thus override even the entry point. And args is to pass to entry point. Args to pass arguments to. Clear? Any questions? Okay, cool. And what is the next topic, by the way, is image policy. Image policy. Okay, so let's deal with this. And image policy. So here I will just put this the same thing. Yeah, this much, very simple. Now I want to go with, before to this, I just want to go to cd images and thing, docker sudo or vim docker file. No, not here. Let me go here. And I will make another one, so which is something I'll call it as Yahoo. Okay, and save it. And docker, sorry, just git pull. Git pulled, and then docker build. Docker build, I'm giving it as v1 only. Okay, I'm doing this, but I made a change, by the way. And sudo docker push us. Okay, you pushed it. Now what's going to happen is, now let's try to run this particular one. So cd dot cd cls and kubectl apply hyphen r 04 now, but the name might be an error or 04. Yeah. Now kubectl gets space pods and kubectl gets space pods, and then you see this. Sorry, see this. and kubectl logs -f and do this. Now, which one it is trying to ping? It is actually trying to ping yahoo.com, which is fine, no issues at all. Okay. Now, sorry. Now, the next thing which I'm going to do here is I will make one more change to this. Okay, and I will say that it is as facebook.com. Okay, so sudo build it, push it again to the same version I'm pushing, but there is a change which I'm putting it as facebook.com. Okay, fine. Now delete pod, and I want to delete 04 pod. Cool. So cd pods ls and kubectl apply -f 04.1. Again, you created kubectl logs -f pod 04 pod 04. Now, still where it is going? It's going facebook.com. So it actually, I think it is going to the new node. It is actually pulling the image. Kubectl get space pods. But ideally, what happens here is and also you can go for -o wide information, so that will show you a little bit more information. So this time it is running on 173 node. Okay, so delete pod, or let the pod be running. Okay, let the no, cannot run that. That's okay. All right, spool now kubectl. So you're going to facebook.com, which is nice. Now I'll go with twitter.com. Okay, so some change again. So cd images ping, so build and sudo docker push this one, right? This one sudo docker push and this particular image to the same version I'm pushing, but now this is at twitter.com and cd./pods and delete and the kubectl apply -f 04 and then kubectl get space pods -o wide. Delete it, create it, list it. Now it is also going to the same node. Now I want to go with docker logs -f this one. No. Yeah, logs -f this one. It's still going to facebook.com. This is what the problem statement. What is the problem statement now? Now my new image is actually pointing to twitter.com. Okay, but still my pod is always going with okay, logs -f logs -f pod 04. So my image is actually twitter.com. Still, it's actually picking my old image. Okay, that's the problem statement. Why? Because you are using the same image version all the time, right? So there is no change in the image version. Now inside Kubernetes, there is a node, and this node already having the image, is already having the image. And since your Kubernetes already finding out the image, or basically Docker, if you have the image already in your local system, it will never go and fetch the image from the remote system. So just to avoid this, so there's a concept called as image pull policy. Okay, so image pull policy you have, so you just give always. Always is nothing but irrespective of whether image is there in your local system or not, it always pulls the latest version. I mean, it always pulls the latest again. Once again, it will pull. Or if you can go on give if not present also. If not present means if not present is default. You don't need to give that. If not present, it always does that. Okay. So what I want to override that is by going with always. So this is the image pull policy strategy. Now, since you give this, okay. Now what's going to happen is let's see now. Okay. Now, since you have given this, irrespective of whether you have the image locally or not, it will go and pull the latest image. Now it will try to reach twitter.com. Okay, so now still it is going to facebook.com. Did I actually make it to twitter.com, and did I build it properly? Build ping and push ping, and it is saying layer already exists, nothing to push. So ping.
Raghu, I think you pull the Docker file to your local machine, I guess.
It pulls automatically. Right, so I mean, all the time we are at least pulling it, right? So we used, it's fine. So this is okay. So then why it is still going to data.com then? Delete pod, kubectl apply. One thing is, see this, I didn't push the changes of 04, the changes which I didn't push it. Okay, so here if I just take you to the git, or I can see, you can see the blue color, a little highlighted color here. So git differences, if you see git, so git compare with master. So there is a difference, you see, and no, only the enter is the difference. Local master, it's also there. Yeah, now it went to twitter.com. You see this, but earlier also it should have went with twitter.com, but I don't know what we missed something. So here also we pull the changes and we applied. Not sure. Yeah, but this is expected basically. So kubectl get space pods, and you can go wide. So still you are using the same node. Of course, you are having a single node, by the way. Okay. So now one more rotate will make it. Okay. So just to avoid confusion, so this time we'll go with so probably some famous website, youtube.com. I push the changes, cd images, this, and git space pull, build it. And if I don't have this entry point, image pull policy, okay, then what's going to happen? cd pods and then delete this one. Git pull, delete the pod, and apply 04. I turned off the image pull policy. Now, ideally, it would be still pulling the or pinging the twitter.com only. Okay, so you're getting something. So ping youtube.com. What is this? You're getting YouTube. So something is going wrong here. One more run. So then I'll go to Docker file and I will say, yeah, actually the problem is I'm building in the same system. I'm pulling on the same system. I'm building in my local same system, and I am okay. So doing it also on the same system. So that's where the problem, it's all the time. I'm not able to do that. Okay. So let me go to my local system. Got the issue. So I am building in the local system here only, running here only. Okay. That's where it is picking here only. Okay. There is no point of changes and all. Okay. So that's the reason it's working fine. So CD, or even I can take the new terminal, local terminal here itself. So ls cd cd cube basic cd images ls cd ping docker build -p slash ping :v1 dot. Okay, fine. Now let's rotate this. Let's go to some other website now. What is the website? Docker.com. Okay, so some website, and now I save this file, build this file, Docker push. Cool. Now you change the entry and you change the point. Okay, so now if you just go and run how many times doesn't really matter on the other terminal. So you always get, okay, you still be pinging youtube.com only. So you're pinging youtube.com. Okay, so run once again. It still goes with youtube.com. So now I will go to remove this image pull policy and I just run this. My next run is actually going to pull the latest image, and pulling the latest image should, fix the issue. That's it. Yeah, you're still seeing YouTube. Now I'll go now because I made some changes. Image pull policy. Git pull also is pulling the changes now. So there are some changes it is telling. It's pulling. Now if you run it, as image pull policy is now set to always, then it will repull the image. While repulling the image, it identifies that, okay, so it is actually to docker.com. It pings to docker.com. Okay, so docker logs -f pod 04 sudo.
So I think cube.
Yeah. Yeah. But now still we are going with the YouTube only, right? So this is a YouTube, and so ping space docker.com. Now you should be getting something like this. And image pull policy is always, and sorry, in this only we are actually pushed it. It went to push right, no issues. And pull policies are set to always. Image pull policy is always. Did I use v1 here? Sorry, here. Did I use v1? Ping colon v1. Ping colon v1. Yes. kubectl delete pod. All right. What is the problem? Did I only thing I see a problem here is whether I pushed this or not. Docker.com is what my question. Add Docker file. So here it is docker.com. Let me make one more change, and I would say this as HDFC. I think banks will not allow you to do some pinging. Let's say Bing, okay, or yeah, Bing.com or something. Now here I'll just Docker build this one and Docker push this one. And also clearly it shows me that so it used Bing.com, okay, on the output as well. So let me push now. Okay, let's go to the server and just go with kubectl delete pod kubectl -f04. Okay. This is interesting. So sudo yeah, so sudo docker images. It is supposed to pull here, and what it is actually telling, it pulled created a minute ago. It just used this one only. It is telling, and this is docker.io this one, and this is this another one. What is this confusion? So now this image is actually telling it is a 53563. It's not even that. Just do Docker images, and I will see my latest image, which is a ping v1. Okay, so 4899. 4899. Okay, and the Docker. Oh, sorry, sudo docker ps. Yes, and pipe grep for pod 04. Okay, so then that's about to run, it seems. Get space pods. It's crash loop back off because the container got so completed. Actually, it will just recreate. We just wait. Recreate or kubectl. All right, so kubectl apply -f 04 and sudo docker ps and pod 04. Now you have another pod, and you can see this image is actually docker images pipe grepper or sudo. And you can see the image is basically is it's actually showing the hash, right? So docker inspect this one sudo, and so this also pipe grepper sha sum. So what is the sha sum of this one is or color looping and 43867 4343867. No, and this is ID image sum is 306. It is showing of this one. This is quite interesting. Okay, now we'll get into this issue. Let me show you with some real cluster. So AWS profile set, and it's gonna be say go for 2. So there is a 0 pods running, and I would like to go with here. So cd kube basics and do ls cd pods ls and the kubectl kubectl apply -f 04.yml file. So it is creating and logs you look for, and so something is happening. We are not getting a name, so we don't know what is actually this one as well. Bing.com. Yeah, you see this? It's Bing.com. Okay, at this point of time, it's fine. But what is the problem which we have here is image bull policy, right? Let's comment this, and let's come out and delete this. Now, in the meantime, I will say CD images, and in the last time it went to 181.41 node. 181.41. If it goes to the same node, then it will not pull the image now. So CD ping values VM docker file. Now it is. I'll go and say it as google.com and build docker build -t slash in colon v1 spelling mistake, huh? Okay. So I saved this file already, and in the kubectl apply pods. I applied this. Let's see the pod actually which comes out of here, and it's actually 181.41 node, and you just look for the logs. It's still going for bing.com. Since the option around this is image pool policy is not there. So now as I go with image pool policy, so now what's gonna happen is, let me delete this, and I will rerun this. Now you got create, it is getting again 181.41 only. It's picking up the node. I'll go for logs. Now it is going to google.com. Since the option is okay, so the latest image. Okay, so yeah, that's what it is. I don't know. We're just building on the same system and running on the same system. Is I don't know where somewhere it got blocked. Okay, all right. That's about the image pool policy and the remaining options. So probably I think we are almost time up, right? So we'll just look into the tomorrow session. Okay. Yeah. Cool. That's all for today. Any questions?
One question, Raghu. What is the role of the K9? Like we installed it. It is something kind of a UI, right? Like how does it help this thing?
So the UI, it will just show you continuously, right? I don't need to execute a command. I applied a pod, and I don't need to go and execute a command. Automatically, the screen automatically showing its live status, right? So it makes my life easy.
Okay.
If I delete it, like let's say it's as well, and I delete -f, do this automatically. You know, it's showing you that it is getting deleted, right? Terminate. So that's how it makes my life easy. Isn't it?
Yeah.
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 Your voice is really low, Damodar.
No, is this from Kubernetes or is this from some third party? K9.
Third party, but contributor to Kubernetes again. Okay, end of the day.
Okay.
That's the third one, third party open source one. It's an open source.
Okay, yeah. So system grade we can use, right, in companies use case also?
Yeah.
Okay.
No issues. It's as simple as Kubernetes, kubectl.
Actually, one last thing, Raghu, how you break up the screens here, like two screens, how you split it here? Is it some command?
Mac feature. If you have Mac machine, then you should.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can play around, so with the Mac machine basically. So it gives you a nice way of doing the things. However you are looking, you can just do that. You can split as per your choice. Yeah. And if you have a big screen, you will really enjoy this. Okay, so I have almost like 36 or 34-inch monitor. Okay, so if I split like this, one single screen, I can put everything. So probably no need
Okay.
to.
Okay.
It will make sense. Okay, any other questions? Okay, all right. So we'll continue tomorrow, and yeah, we'll look into the remaining options and we'll proceed. Okay, thank you, and see you tomorrow. And bye. Good day. Good night.